Good evening. I wish to thank Steven for organizing this nice event, beautiful event with London poets. I will read one poem, very short poem in Croatian. Veslo je prošlo kroz vodu u kovitu crnih ledenih iglica. Ušao sam u sobu i našao te kako spavaš, tako nepomišljena da mi se učinilo kao da si mrtva. Da živimo i 200 godina, uvijek bi ostalo stvari što nismo stigli reći jednom drugom. Now I will read a few poems in Croatian English. It's very similar to Russian English. Okay. To catch up with the Alaska song and the rock and roll song, it's a part of my big poem about Antarctica. 11,000 meters above the Great Plains. On the airplane, Miss Love sits next to the window so that she can watch the clouds. White clouds, dense and soft like spun sugar. Those foamy clouds that are good only for walking in sleeveless t-shirt. Late in the afternoon, the hour when her hair receives the golden hue. The sun tends to beat hard up there at these heights. There is a man sitting next to her, suspiciously observing her hands full of scratches and bruises. Miss Love sits on the plane with her knees pressed tight against each other, clutching a macrobiotic dinner in her lap, while the atoms she purchased nestle under her legs. There is a teddy bear-shaped rucksack on her back where she keeps her wedding dress and the urn with the ashes of her late husband, the well-known singer whose name she forgot. He's been sitting there in the teddy bear-shaped knapsack for quite some time now. Miss had buried a handful of his ashes under the willow tree in her garden while she mixed the other two with clay and made tiny saucers, and a handful of it was unfortunately blown away, ending up in the ventilation system shaft. That's a problem. As for the rest, she made the problem. As for the rest, Miss Love always carries it with herself on her journeys, keeping it close to her heart, like a talisman. When you hit yourself with an axe while chopping the wood, you don't think about poetry then, or about great deeds, or about politics. You do not defy God, and you are small as a pea as you wait for the pain to go away. When you are riddled with shrapnels from a mortar grenade, you do not think about the impression you leave upon women or about the national anthem. You crawl under the rock and wait for the pain to go away. When the door of a remnant prison shuts behind your back, that's when you think about freedom. That's compilation of my war poems of war in Croatia. The wounded man is tempting God. I wandered around the forest of the enemy kingdom and stumbled upon a piece of wire hidden in the grass. It was a buried tripwire, activated, bounding anti-personnel mine. And in the split second before the explosion, I wanted God to make that cup pass away from me. But when the detonation threw me into the air, I saw pieces of iron, pieces of my uniform, pieces of my flesh whirling in orbit. Sand, stars, porcelain, four winds, tartan, razors, ice. Joseph Conrad proposing to Freya, the girl from the Seven Islands. My enemies, the cats, stealing the planet oxygen, digging through the garbage. And all lighthouses ablaze all the way from the New Hebrides to the Pepper Coast. And the president of Zimbabwe, Kanan Banana, listening to the German radio. And 1,000 of mummified fish heads prophesying in alien tongues. And Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart making airplanes out of a piece of a newspaper. And I never liked Mozart, and that's what threw me down on the ground. While the Vienna boys sang, a jug goes to the water until it breaks, and jug goes to the water until it breaks. God, let that cup pass me by, I thought there in the ambulance car. Let me live for a little bit longer, at least for another 100 years. I do not want to die now that our time has come. I wanted my medals to shine like old platforms lighting up the night flights over the Atlantic, and my veteran charisma to become electric. Let my limousine slide through the crowd like Moby Dick before the eyes of helpless Captain Ahab. I never said I didn't want to sell my soul. I was only negotiating the price. And let me be invited at the presidential party. There are so many dishes I never tasted. There are so many people on this earth whose destiny I never took in my hands. I want to rob and preach to the robbed ones. I want to lie and laugh at the deceived ones. I want my place in the ark so I can watch the flood with a cocktail glass in my hands. Since it is better to set fires than to be burned, it's better to humiliate than to be humiliated. So let's lay all the cards on the table. We have but one life. Give me 100 cannibal horses from Borneo. Let me recover myself in the purifying fountains of youth. Give me the power to last forever like the invisible poison in the veins of all humans. Give me parts of their spines, hands, eyes, brains, hearts, kidneys. My hands are the hands of the sculptor, thirsty for work. I'll smile at you, the green pastures of Croatia, with the smile of a harvester. In front of the hospital, alley cats rummage through the garbage. They have conspired to steal the oxygen of the entire planet. The iron holders of the facade are empty. 50 years ago, 3 flags hung there. One for the gluttony, another for greed, and the third one for misery. Instead of them, we hoisted up our tricolor. The red is for the Christ mineral blood, the blood of our dead, the guardian subterranean blood boiling. The white is for hope that we are fighting for a better civilization. The blue one is for our blazing adventure, for friendship firm as those overseas telegraph cables that fishermen sometimes find when their nets get lost somewhere, really deep. But the cats came overnight and did the dirty trick. So the red stands for gluttony once again, the white for greed, and the blue for misery. So, dear friends, one thing is certain. Those very cats are the guardians of that other world as well. These cunning cats that sometimes transform into politicians, the cats that are still rummaging through garbage, conspiring to steal the oxygen of the entire planet. And the last one, Tito Apocrypha. Tito gnaws a pig's head in the attic, eyeing the street in fear that his parents might catch him. I don't give a damn, he thinks. I'll escape on my bicycle. Tito riding a tram in Vienna undercover, wearing his best grey suit, thinking, why should I be any worse than those students? Tito riding over Mount Romania, followed by old poet and writer Nazor, stumbling through the snow. Vladimir, Vladimir, thinks Tito benevolently. Tito waving at the rows of kids from his Mercedes-Benz. Red bandanas are tied around their necks like nooses. The sun will once grow dark, ponders Tito philosophically. Tito is elegant even in death. Here are the mourners listed alphabetically. Bears, rhinos, lions, chess players, cineasts, circus acrobats, clerks, corn seller at workstation number 7, Cuban cigar industry, employees, That's the truth, yeah. Employees of the Institute for the History of the Working Class Movement, the English Queen, Greenpeace activists, heads of the tenant councils, historic figures, hippies, honor students, Ilich Ramirez Sanchez, also known as Carlos, men with mustaches, officers from firemen's clubs, opera singers, presidents of fishermen's societies, yes, even pretty women, primary school teachers, punks, reserve policemen, retired warrant officers, Sai Baba, soccer players and tailors. Tito showed up again in a balloon above Eastern Africa, pointing his binoculars at a herd of zebras. Those devils with stripes, thinks Tito to himself, they are all the same. Tito says no to Stalin, and Stalin responds, I do not care anymore who gives a fuck. Do you know how to calculate? I have 21,856 of them ground into the leaves of the cotton forest. I have 300,000 secretly buried ones. I have 10 million of those liquidated in liquidations. I have all of their IDs, the photographs of their children, the letters filled with unwarranted optimism, their pencils, small change. I've got them all neatly placed on the file. Thank you very much.